Greetings and welcome to Eye Care Leadership Live. This is the podcast for eye care leaders who want to level up their leadership, create better cultures, and improve the financial results of their clinics. Now, let's join the show. HR problems in a clinic usually don't show up all at once. They build quietly until they start costing you time, money, and momentum. Most clinic owners and leaders don't want abstract HR theory. They need clarity, and they need help with what's slowing the practice down. If your clinic or business is dealing with hiring headaches, performance issues, or HR tasks that keep pulling you away from the work that matters, and you want a no-pressure look at where the friction is, book a free HR diagnostic call with me and we'll map out your next step. Visit seasoned-advice.com to learn more and book your call today. Now, here's the show. Today, my guest here on Eye Care Leadership Live is Joey Hamel. And Joey is the Executive Director for Eye Physicians and Surgeons in Delaware. And he's my guest today. So, Joey, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to talk about a topic that I'm really passionate about. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, I am truly, I don't know, I'm on pins and needles a little bit here because I've never had an administrator on the show, and I've talked to so many administrators, but I've never had one on the show. And so we kind of met on LinkedIn, you might say, quote unquote, met and had some things to say about culture. And it seemed like, you had a really unique perspective on that. And so one thing led to another, and here we are talking.
Yeah, well, you're putting a lot of pressure on me being the first administrator. Hopefully not the last. Hopefully I can get more to want to join and talk to you.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And yeah, no stress here. Well, let's jump in here. We were talking a little bit before we started recording about how you got into ophthalmology. And maybe, I guess my first question is, how long have you been working in the world of ophthalmology in a leadership role?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably been about 2 years now. So
Okay.
fairly short in the field. As you know, I kind of alluded to when we were talking earlier, it was kind of a by chance that I ended up in the field, but it's been a great experience, and I really feel like I'm in the right field.
Yeah. Um, and I've loved it. I think it's totally I don't know, it's the best place for me. I love working with ophthalmologists and practice admins like yourself. Um, what is there anything that you've noticed that's unique about ophthalmology compared to other specialties that you've worked with?
Yeah, I think that with ophthalmology, you get kind of seems like a very small community, even especially in Delaware, but it seems like a lot of people know one another, respect one another, want to collaborate with one another, but also there's still that competition that drives, the practices and the ophthalmologists, optometrists to be, the best in their field, which it does differ from the heart and vascular setting where I kind of started my career, where everything like has to happen immediately. Patients are hypercritical, the acuity is high, you're working much longer hours. But I think with the shift to ophthalmology, it's just as important because it's your eyesight. People are
Mhm.
so concerned about eyesight and the potential of losing it that it's really great and a great feeling to know that we can help impact that and help people navigate this difficult situation that they may be in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And maybe just for context here, can you let me know how many providers you have, how many like medical doctors, any optometrists, and what kind of specialties
Sure.
you have?
Yeah, we're a multi-specialty practice. Right now we have 7 MDs, 3 ODs, um, a mix. So we have 2 main retina doctors, we have glaucoma, we have 2 main cataract doctors, cornea. So we kind of do it all here. We have 2 locations, Newark and Wilmington.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I
Mm,
noticed I noticed the signage behind you, macular degeneration. I figured you
yeah,
had probably retina
yeah,
there.
that's a recent addition. We had some really outdated signage that may have
Yeah.
been older than me. So this was
Okay.
just installed last week. So it faces the main street that our practice is located on. So when people drive by, they can see the services that we offer.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really smart. Well, the topic that kind of unified us or got us talking had to do with practice culture. And you had mentioned that, that was something that had been an issue you've had to deal with in previous, roles. It's something that you had some familiarity. So I don't know, maybe, from a high level, how have you noticed culture, be meaningful in the healthcare environment?
Yeah, it's so important because people are what drive the care. And in order to provide the best patients the care and support the physicians, you have to have a good culture for your staff where they feel empowered, they feel comfortable speaking up, they feel passionate about providing their services because the front desk, the technicians, they're just as important as the physicians in helping the patient navigate the entirety of the experience.
Yeah, I've seen that so many times. And when I'm talking to, candidates who are applying for jobs, I tell them, hey, you really make this practice go. This role is critical for this practice. Yeah, the doctor's important, but the employees really are important in making the clinic successful. So I guess that makes me now think about hiring. Is there is there something that you do, when you think about hiring new staff to help make sure that they're the right person for your practice?
Yeah, so for me, obviously experience is important, but recently we've kind of shifted our mindset and we've been focusing more on the person itself. And that's kind of always hired anyways, is
Mhm.
experience is great, but are you the right fit? How is your personality? Can I see you interacting with our current staff at the practice? Can I see how you can I see how you may treat patients? Can I see how you may interact with your fellow coworkers? So for me, I think personality and social skills are
Mhm.
almost more important than experience. And we've actually kind of shifted our own strategy to hire medical assistants that may not have, the experience of a ophthalmic tech that's been in the role for 10 plus years, but has the drive, the eagerness, and the desire to be successful.
Mhm. Yeah, actually, one of my hiring hacks that I will often utilize in ophthalmology is to post a job for a medical assistant, and because you draw in a whole different profile.
Mhm.
It sounds like you've utilized that.
Yeah, and the other thing we've been doing too that's been really rewarding is we've been partnering with the University of Delaware to have student interns work with us. So we've had some students who are interested in becoming an MD
Mhm.
or pursuing a career in medicine. They've reached out to us, and we've been able to, bring them on and train them as techs. We also have a marketing student as well from the University of Delaware that we partner with their co-op program to handle our marketing, but it's just been such a great experience to have them. They've thrived in their roles, but they've also um, we've seen them grow significantly in a very short period of time. And we even had one of them who was very shy at the beginning of her internship. I had her present at the staff meeting, and she did an amazing job, which was really really thrilling to see.
That's cool. Yeah, I just saw that on LinkedIn earlier and was super inspired to see that, your practice is tapping into to that talent that is trying to grow, and that's a great way to do that. Get college students involved, and I love the marketing thing. What are some things from a marketing perspective that you've wanted to delegate to a marketing intern for practices out there that might be able to take
Yeah,
advantage of that kind of idea?
so we didn't really have much of a marketing footprint when I started. Weren't really active on LinkedIn, Instagram. I think the last post was like 2019.
Mm.
Facebook was limited. So really, we brought this person on to get to start a LinkedIn, boost our Instagram, Facebook, and now the new intern that we also had our former intern planned a grand opening. When we acquired Newark, there was no grand opening. So 2 years later, I was like, we got to have a grand opening event. And we had this really amazing grand opening event that the intern had the opportunity to plan, and she did a phenomenal job with that. So really, we the interns that we have for marketing, they have such an opportunity to do more than they probably would in other areas because we don't have a set marketing department. So obviously, we approve the posts before they go out, but the quality of work that we've experienced with our first intern and now we're on our second marketing intern has been incredible.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's very rare for a practice to have marketing. It's probably one of the last positions that tend to get hired in a practice. And so it's an ideal position to delegate to a tech or a front desk person or an intern. And I love that y'all have capitalized on that. It's an awesome idea. Um, we talked about hiring and maybe hiring for character. How do you know when someone on the team is not a culture fit, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, we had quite a few of those when I started because I've only been in this particular role for around 9 months. So we
Yeah.
had, quite the culture shift that had to happen when I started. But when I started, I met with every single person individually for 40-ish minutes.
Wow.
I and that includes physicians, optometrists, everyone. Obviously, I looked into the financials because I know that's important, but people are just as important as the financials because without the people, who's going to drive the finances? Who's going to treat the patients? So I dedicated time the first 2 or 3 weeks when I started. I met with every single person individually, didn't look at any personnel records, didn't take any information from anyone else about them, formed my own opinions, let them meet me, let them understand what I'm about, um, and take a lot of the ideas that they gave me. And I feel like in the past they weren't given the voice. They felt kind of like they weren't able to bring these ideas up or they were shut down. But now they felt that they had the ability to be empowered. And a lot of the ideas that I got early on, I was able to make actionable and improve the practice, which was really great.
Uh, that's so important is listening and then acting on the feedback. How did you? And I think spending 30 minutes, 40 minutes is probably a great way to start building trust with the team. Any tips for a administrator or even a physician out there to like sustain that trust level, that hey, this leader is on my side and I'm with trust with the leadership. How do they sustain that?
Yeah, so definitely buy an espresso machine for the break room. Yeah, no, that we did that and people loved that. But I think just showing them that you're available, listening. I'd spend time with the front desk, with the techs, just
Mhm.
trying to understand like what some of their barriers may be, what I can do to assist them, and just get an understanding of what their struggles may be. I also shifted the staff meeting setup where we have a monthly staff meeting. Instead of me standing in front of the room and I actually sit down with the staff. I bring a chair up and I sit down and I kind of make it more informative to make people feel comfortable speaking up.
Yeah.
And we do that for around 30 minutes. Then we have breakout sessions. And one of the things I did early on is I asked the partners to be present at the staff meeting and at the breakout session to show physician buy-in, to show that, they were involved. And then also for the physicians, they're able to hear what some of the barriers might be and why aren't patients being brought back quick enough, or why did this happen. Now they're getting to understand what the causes might be, and at the same time staff's being like, okay, they're interested in what I'm saying, that my voice actually matters now. So just continuing to empower, continuing to show the team that they have a voice and that their ideas matter. And I always say there's no such thing as a stupid idea. And I will try almost everything Um, if the team thinks it's worth it, as far as ideas, I think every idea is worth at least exploring, and that's what I've conveyed to
Mm.
them. And I also told them it's okay to fail. If you have an idea and it doesn't work, okay, just go back to the drawing board and think of something else. So that's really what I've been emphasizing with them in these last like
Mm.
9 months.
Okay. Yeah, in that 60 seconds, you kind of just gave like a master class there of like how to build trust. You talked about I no one talks about this, but physically sit down, like get on their level, bringing the physicians in, listening. It's okay to fail. I'm guessing that you didn't just like read a book and all of a sudden boom, you've got all these skills. Like how did you cultivate this leadership knowledge? You kind of alluded to sports a little bit before
Yeah,
we talked, but like what was your process of cultivating and learning about leadership in your career?
yeah. So I didn't even really read any books regarding leadership. I feel like early on, the way I was raised by my parents and my grandparents, just seeing like they've always emphasized like being open-minded,
Mm.
being respectful of anyone, no matter their situation, um, and just wanting to help others. So those are kind of the foundations that I was raised on, and it's kind of just as translated as I grow. Like, and I try to bring that to my professional life and obviously personal life. And then when it comes to sports, team sports are so impactful. I think for everyone when it comes to or team events in general, just being involved with other people, because you have the highs and the lows. You learn to work together. You learn to work to be part of a team. And for me, I played point guard in basketball, and the job of the point guard isn't to score, really, is to get everyone else involved. You don't win unless you uplift your teammates. You might have people who struggle in a certain facet, but you have to play to their strengths in order to win. And it's the same in the professional setting. You have front desk people who may not be the best at certain things or techs that may be better refracting than others, but you have to play to those strengths in order to be successful.
Love the sports analogy. That's awesome. Point guard, got to dish the ball out.
Got to just
Um, have you encountered, maybe in your current role or in past roles, a person on the team who was resistant, right, to like especially distrustful or especially resistant, or some people might even say toxic? Are there any ways that you can try to get that person bought into, what the practice is trying to do?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people I notice are afraid of change, right? If they've been doing a certain thing for a long period of time, or they've been in a certain role for a long period of time, they may be hesitant to new leadership or new ideas. So what I found effective is to sit down with these individuals and listen. But when you listen, you have to hear. Like you have to be fully engaged and listen to what some of their feedback may be, and what are the causes of the angst, or why are they frustrated, and seeing what the root of that may be. And it could be something valid that maybe that you could enact at the practice and that you could potentially change. But also, certain people, no matter how much time and effort you put in and how much time you spend with them, they may not be part of that journey that you have for the practice. So there's certain times where tough decisions have to be made. And, as an administrator and leader, I just want to empower those out there that put in the effort, listen, but at certain points, you may not be able to get everyone to buy in, and changes might have to be made at various points.
Hmm. Have you ever seen where a physician or provider was kind of part of the culture problem? And I don't know, any tips for addressing that type of thing?
Yeah, so one thing I found effective is that um, historically and early on, whenever there was an issue, the physicians would run to my office,
Mm.
and I'm like, why is this happening? I'm not out there. I'm not out there on the floor. I'm not at the front. I don't know what's happening at this very moment. Plus, there's people out there who are better suited to help with this issue. One physician in particular, I had to really work with, and instead of coming to me, I would point him to the lead tech,
Mm.
or one of the managers, because they're more equipped to handle those situations. And also, if he keeps running to me, they're being skipped and they don't feel confident. Like, why is he just running to him? Why isn't he coming to me? So
Hmm.
really, instead of having the physicians come to me, I've been pushing the physicians to go to the frontline leaders who are more equipped to handle the situations. And I've seen that to be effective because the leaders are getting more confident, and also the physicians are getting answers quicker instead of coming to me and me trying to then call that person and then try. So I found that to be an effective strategy, and it's the physicians who I had challenges with have kind of bought into that as well,
Hmm.
which has been great.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a win-win. You get faster answers, you support
Mhm.
the staff, and you probably make better decisions because the people closer to the issue are the ones
Yeah,
who are, making the
exactly.
decision. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Joey, this has been a super enlightening conversation. I am super excited to try to find more practice administrators to bring on
Yeah,
the show because you bring such a great insight. And the administrators that I've talked to, they're the ones dealing with this stuff on the front lines. They know what works and what doesn't work. And I guess if I had one final question for you, is there something that you think that administrators maybe most commonly get wrong when it comes to building a good culture in their practice?
yeah. I think just be open minded and be willing to empower your staff, and don't be quick to shut down ideas, but be listen to them and hear what they have to say, because in a lot of situations they've been in with the practice longer, they've been in the field longer, they see the day-to-day struggles or opportunities that we may not see. So I think just be willing to listen to your team, willing to hear their ideas, and willing to make them actionable too, because what's the point of listening if you don't make these ideas actionable?
Awesome. Well, Joey, thanks for being on the show. If someone wants to get in touch with you to learn more about you or maybe tap into your brain a little bit more, how can they find you and track you
Yeah,
down?
definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with anyone. It's a topic I'm very passionate about,
Mm.
and I would love to help others in my role who want to connect.
Awesome. Well, I will put the link to your LinkedIn profile into the show notes. Thanks so much for being on the show.
All right, Mike. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, that brings this episode of I Care Leadership Live to a conclusion. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on your podcast app and share it with someone who would value the content. I promise to bring you more guests and content to help make you a better I Care clinical leader. I also invite you to subscribe to my HR newsletter for I Care leaders. You can find information about that at seasoned-advice.com. Now go out there and lead with confidence.